Have you ever found yourself driving late at night, the road stretching endlessly before you, and suddenly you get that eerie feeling that you're not alone? You're not the only one. Tonight, we're diving into 3 chilling true encounters with strangers on the road that will make you question how well you really know the world around you. These stories will send shivers down your spine and make you think twice about picking up a hitchhiker or stopping to help someone in need. So, buckle up and let's get into these spine-tingling tales. Our first story comes from a woman named Sarah, who was on a solo road trip through the desolate stretches of Oregon. It was late, and the sun had long disappeared behind the horizon, leaving her surrounded by darkness. The only light came from her headlights, illuminating the winding road ahead. As she drove, she noticed a figure standing by the roadside. It was a man, waving his arms, clearly in distress. Sarah hesitated, her instincts telling her to keep driving, but compassion took over. She pulled over, rolled down her window, and asked if he needed help. The man approached the car, his face barely visible in the dim light. He looked disheveled and frantic, claiming that his car had broken down just a few miles back and that he needed a ride to the nearest gas station. Sarah felt uneasy but couldn't shake the feeling that he was genuinely in trouble. After a moment of deliberation, she unlocked the door and he climbed into the passenger seat. As they drove, the man began to share his story. It was rambling, disjointed, and filled with peculiar details that made Sarah's skin crawl. He spoke of strange occurrences and hinted at something lurking in the woods. With every passing mile, Sarah felt a growing sense of dread. Suddenly, he turned to her and said something chilling. "You should have never picked me up." The atmosphere in the car shifted, and Sarah's heart raced as she tried to maintain her composure. She didn't want to show fear, but every instinct in her body screamed to get away. When they finally arrived at the gas station, she pulled up to a well-lit area, relieved to be out of the darkness. But as she turned to tell him to get out, he was already gone. She blinked in disbelief, glancing around to see if he had vanished into thin air. There was no sign of him anywhere. Shaken, Sarah drove away, her mind racing. Was he ever really there? Or had she come face to face with something far more sinister? Now let's shift gears to our next encounter. A tale from a truck driver named Mark. He drove long hauls across the country, often finding himself on lonely stretches of highway under the cover of night. One evening, he was driving through a remote area in Texas when he spotted a vehicle on the side of the road. It was an old pickup truck, its hood raised, steam billowing out. Mark slowed down, contemplating whether to stop. He remembered the countless times strangers had helped him out on the road and couldn't ignore the feeling of duty to lend a hand. As he pulled over, Mark noticed a woman sitting on the tailgate, looking distraught. She explained that her boyfriend had gone to find help but hadn't returned. Mark offered to call for assistance, but the woman insisted they needed to look for him. Against his better judgment, Mark agreed. They ventured into the dark woods nearby, flashlights illuminating only a small circle around them. As they called out for the boyfriend, Mark couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. After what felt like forever, they heard a rustle in the bushes. Mark's heart raced as he shone his flashlight in the direction of the sound. To his horror, a figure stumbled into the light, but it wasn't the boyfriend. Instead, it was a wild-eyed man with a crazed look on his face. He lunged toward them, and Mark grabbed the woman, pulling her back and running toward the safety of his truck. They jumped in, locking the doors just as the man reached them, pounding on the window, screaming incoherently. Mark started the engine and sped away, adrenaline pumping through his veins. As they drove off, the woman turned to him, her expression a mix of fear and confusion. "What just happened?" she asked. Mark could only shake his head, still reeling from the close call. He never found out who that man was or what had truly happened in those woods. But he knew one thing for sure. Sometimes, helping a stranger can lead you into unimaginable danger. Our final story takes us to a young man named Jake, who was driving home from a late-night party. The roads were quiet, and his friends had long since left. As he navigated the twisting highway, he saw a girl standing alone at a bus stop, her face illuminated by the flickering streetlight. She looked lost and vulnerable, and Jake, feeling a pang of sympathy, decided to offer her a ride. As she got into the car, Jake noticed she was shivering, her clothes thin for the chilly night. She thanked him softly and gave him an address not far from where he picked her up. The atmosphere in the car was tense but not uncomfortable. They made small talk, and Jake learned she had missed her bus after a long day at work. However, as they drove further, he began to notice oddities in her behavior. She seemed distracted, often staring out the window as if searching for something. Just as they approached her destination, she suddenly turned to him with wide eyes and whispered, "You need to turn around." Confused, Jake asked why, but she insisted, her voice rising in panic. "Please turn around now." Alarmed, he did as she asked, making a U-turn on the deserted road. As they drove back, she kept glancing nervously in the rearview mirror. Finally, she spoke again, her voice trembling. "I can't go home. They're looking for me." Jake's heart raced. Who was looking for her? He wanted to ask more, but fear gripped him. He pulled over, unsure of what to do. "You need to get out of the car," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. She looked terrified, but he urged her again. Finally, she opened the door and bolted into the night, disappearing into the shadows. Shaken, Jake drove away, his mind racing with questions. Who was she? What had she been running from? The encounter left him haunted, and he couldn't shake the feeling that he had been caught in a web of something much darker than he could comprehend. As we reflect on these chilling encounters, it's clear that the road can be a mysterious and dangerous place. It reminds us to be cautious and trust our instincts when it comes to strangers. Each story serves as a warning, a reminder that sometimes the night hides secrets we may not be ready to face. Have you ever had a strange encounter on the road? We'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. If you enjoyed these chilling tales and want to learn how to create videos like this using AI, check the link in our bio to discover how you can earn in dollars on YouTube. The night may be filled with shadows, but there are always stories waiting to be told.